Hey, Jeremy,
What's up, Josh?
do you know what time it is?
I think it's time for unsolicited conjecture with Josh and Jeremy.
Yeah, it is. That's it. Hit it! And welcome back, everyone, to Unsolicited Conjecture. I am Josh Thompson, and this here is Jeremy Deal.
Hello again.
Jeremy, how you been doing this week? What's up?
No complaints. I'm doing all right. I'm a little tired because, thanks to you, I decided to get Cyberpunk while it was on sale for Cyber Monday.
Oh, yeah.
And I have been staying up till probably 2 o'clock in the morning every day playing it. So much so I have to set alarms to stop playing it. So thank you for introducing me to video game crack once again.
You're welcome. What's your first impressions? What are you thinking?
So far, man, it's really good. I'm enjoying it. It's a whole lot of storyline and watching storyline. I've noticed that graphics are just so amazing on it, though. And I really think I've got it all hooked up, Steam, PC. So hooking up the controller, I think, helps a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
But nothing to complain about so far. I'm only a short amount into the game, but I mean, it's like GTA but better.
Yeah.
Basically.
No, it is. I know what you mean. It's like it's got a little bit of everything in there.
Dude, for sure. The side quests are where it's at.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it only gets better from here. I'm excited to see your progress through Night City. We'll be checking back now. Everybody in the comments, no spoilers. Okay? No spoilers for you. Don't you dare spoil it for him. That's what
He's already spoiled it a bunch of times for me though.
Well,
honestly.
so you guys don't have to as well. I already have it covered. That's where we're coming. Normally, the spoiler warnings go the other direction, and shows are like, "Hey, we might spoil something for you." But in this case,
don't spoil it for me.
Spoil it for him.
Don't spoil it for me.
Don't you dare.
Don't you be a Josh and spoil it for me.
Don't you be a Josh.
To be fair, though, you spoiled it all to me before I ever even thought about playing it.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't remember. You don't remember any of those things.
The real funny part is that I had completely forgotten about the fact that Keanu was in the game.
Oh, yeah.
So when he pops up, I was like, oh,
yeah,
man.
that's a fun one. There's a couple of it's really great when properties or like do that to you.
Yeah.
You know, when you're fully aware that you know what always gets me is Captain America Civil War. Every single time I watch Civil War, I'm like, oh, I love this movie. First appearance of Spiderman. You get all this good, fun stuff in this movie. It's a great movie. But you get so involved in the narrative and the tension between like Tony and Steve that when it pops up on the screen, like halfway through the movie and it says Brooklyn, every single time I'm like, oh yeah. I completely forget that Spider-Man is even in the movie until you get to that point because it's such a good story on its own.
Yeah.
And yeah, Cyberpunk does that same thing. Because also if you haven't played Cyberpunk 2077, you're looking at about 5 hours until you hit the title card of the game.
Oh man, that got me too. I was very surprised at that, to tell you the least.
I played for like 5 or 6 hours, and it happens. Obviously, there's some big events that go down right before all of that, before you get that title screen. But yeah, you will be playing like, oh, I thought I was fully into the game hours ago.
Yep, that's exactly how I felt.
No, you're not.
I even sent you a message right after. I was like, what is this? Did I just waste all my time playing video games obsessively where you check every single corner and pick up everything?
Yes, but that's what you do.
Yeah.
It's a role-playing game. The only problem is when I role-play in that game, I'm always like an insane pack rat who collects It is fun when you can get to a point. Like, that's why some of the missions where you play as Johnny Silverhand are some of the most fun because like some of them are flashbacks and some are, there's different stuff going on.
Yeah.
But when you play as a character like that in a flashback, there's no stuff.
Yeah, you're not collecting anything. You're just blasting fools.
Yeah, you're just free to play the game and just enjoy it and inhabit the role. Which it's making me want to play Cyberpunk again and just go for a character who has no attachment to material things.
Yeah, that just literally walks
Just
around
play.
and plays the game.
Just play the game and don't. But obviously you're gonna struggle because picking up everything is how you get the better weapons.
Constantly scanning, constantly looking for
making
stuff.
the money. Yeah, we were just my wife and I are going through Skyrim, still going through that anniversary edition, and it's just fun. You're playing that game and you look, how much money do I have? I'm like, oh, I have $80,000. That's an amount of money that you never really could spend.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could just magically accrue money like that in real
That's what
life?
I'm
Just
saying.
do a bunch of side hustles, people calling you up all the time. Here,
Oh yeah,
make this extra $3,000 on a side hustle. Like
that would be the way to do it. That's why we just need to become mercs in real life. We'll just be edge runners.
Well,
And,
I mean, it's 2021 now. We don't have much longer to go to 77, so
No.
maybe we'll make it there.
Maybe. If
We'll be like really old Osaka.
we'll need a lot of robot parts to make it to that.
That's
that
fine
point,
with me. I
think.
figure it's a hard choice. I mean, if robotics were available for you right now, would you make the switch any part, or would you wait until a part malfunctions to switch it over? It's a tough call.
Yeah, and it gets into one of the most fun things about cyberpunk as a genre, which is like the transhumanism of it all. The ship of Theseus, which everyone should be now more aware of from WandaVision. They went into that pretty hard, but the ship of Theseus. If you replace all the parts of a ship, is it still the same ship?
Yeah.
If you start replacing parts of your body, for whatever reason, at what point do you stop being you as much and start being something else? And that's what's so interesting about that game too, and the whole concept of like cyber psychosis, which obviously is not just the game, it's the cyberpunk universe.
Yeah, they
from
just
the
tackle it in
role-playing
the game.
Yeah, and both of the role-playing game of the same name. But yeah, the idea of cyber psychosis, that you would get, having this extra software in your head, which is also something that like I don't think we can really conceive of what that would be like.
Yeah.
To have your head actually like plugged into a computer and interacting with software.
It's hard enough dealing with our own thoughts. Imagine if there were just all kinds of other thoughts being pushed into your head.
Oh yeah, and true. Or imagine how bad, pop-up ads would be in the future.
And the poorer you are, the more pop-up ads you're getting. You know that for sure. Sure.
You got to get those expensive Kiroshi optics. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Unsolicited Conjecture is brought to you by Kiroshi Optics.
Make sure to get the advanced model.
Oh, yeah. They're good. They're good. Let you see stuff.
Yeah, they won't let you link up optically with your weapons if you don't get the advanced model. You just have some basic bitch shit, and nobody wants that. How are you going to know who to murk and who's got how many felony stars?
And that's really the problem, isn't it? You never know who to murk. Hey, Jeremy, what are we talking about next?
I think we are going to talk about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
It's not released yet, but we're still going to talk about it.
Spider-Man, look out. Here comes the Spiders-Man.
Spider-Man? I think we had this conversation before.
We did.
Also.
We have done this before. Spider-Man No Way Home coming December 17th. Now, as a lifelong Ghostbusters fan, I feel a little bit conflicted because the Spider-Man trailer dropped the day before Ghostbusters Afterlife was released in theaters. And I was so incredibly excited about that movie because of the trailer. This Spider-Man movie is going to be really good. I'm very, very excited.
He's very stoked about it, but you have an unfair bias because anything Doctor Strange, you're going to be 1,000% about.
Yeah, I am a big Doctor Strange fan, and that is another big reason that I'm very excited about this movie, but also just the fact that there's so much buzz, there's so much going on with this movie. This past Monday, Spider Monday, as they're calling,
instead of Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday, they were calling it Spider Monday.
That's when the tickets dropped, right?
Tickets went on sale on Spider Monday this year. And actually it like crashed a bunch of the theaters' online ticket sales.
Yeah,
sites.
I saw that.
So that's a really good sign. Like AMC, I know my wife was trying to get tickets for a while at the AMC. Didn't. We're going to the Alamo.
Yeah, I'm going to the Alamo also, but I don't get to see it till Sunday.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think it's Thursday, but it's like a 3:00 showing, so we have to like
I got to take off of work.
Yeah, I got to be sick that day. But yeah, so that's a really good sign, just in general. Just for movies coming back and
For
theaters
sure.
coming
Well,
back.
I mean, like you said, the hype on this thing is so insane. Like, this is the most hyped Marvel movie since Endgame.
Yeah, it feels like those level stakes,
Yeah.
doesn't it? It really does. And I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't thinking that until I watched that trailer, and then I felt it. I felt it in my chest. I'm very, very excited about this movie.
Yeah, like Jack O'Brien said, if you thought there couldn't be more portals in the movie, here's the movie with the most amount of portals.
Oh yeah,
there will be no more portals possible than what they're going to introduce.
The whole movie will be portals, and there's a lot going around about this too. There's a lot of rumors and stuff going around about this movie as well. Obviously, the idea of bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, we've talked about that. It's very exciting. It's a cool concept. It feels cooler than
for sure,
it ever
man.
felt to have to move on to a different Spider-Man in the past.
I see so many fans talking about like the reintroduction of old Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, like Logan style, like just a raw, hard, and I am all about that, honestly.
But also, there's a lot of really funny memes going around too, because Tobey Maguire is a much more naive kind of Spider-Man than either Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland will be. And also because Tobey Maguire, he's the only of the Spider-Men that they made the change that he just generates his webs.
Yeah, he doesn't need
body.
the slingers.
Yeah. So obviously there's a leak.
I know, I have seen people making lots of jokes about that online, talking about just how Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland are going to react to that on screen. Be like, "Whoa, man, you make that yourself?"
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Are they going to be jealous? Or are they going to be freaked out? Probably jealous.
Yeah, probably,
they would have to be jealous.
I don't think they're going to be jealous.
I would be jealous.
I don't think either one is going to wish that they had webs come out of their wrists. But we'll see. That's going to be really fun. But obviously we got those guys rumored to be coming back. They both vehemently deny being involved because they have to.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire if they're not in this movie? They would have to be suing Disney. Like you guys have been destroying our lives. I can't. That would be. They've got to be in it. They've got to be in it.
If they weren't in it, they would be allowed to say that they weren't in it.
Well, they are saying that they're not in it.
Oh man,
but that's the problem.
But they're like, we're not in it.
We're not in it. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of fake stuff too, like Tobey Maguire.
Like that picture I sent you, the rugged outlook, the digitally created one.
Well, there was one. Apparently, I saw a TikTok where. You get this. It was a TikTok where someone was pretending to look surprised.
TikTok, the most honest platform
that makes
on
it
the market.
Different from it's the platform where everyone is constantly feigning surprise at themselves or anything. It's just people going like, that's TikTok. That's
I haven't opened TikTok in probably like months, honestly.
It used to be teenagers dancing. Now it's people pretending to be surprised. But this person was being pretending to be surprised about a meme he made, apparently. But it was a tweet. It shows Tobey Maguire tweeted the date, September 17th. And I went and looked at Tobey Maguire's Twitter, and he hasn't tweeted like since 2013. So it's clearly
understandably.
It's not him. So all that shock was for no reason. But there's lots of rumors and stuff like that going around, but also there's some other stuff. I saw one article claiming that Ian Gruffudd, I believe it's pronounced, the original Mr. Fantastic, and Jessica Alba are rumored to show up in this movie.
Okay.
So if they're gonna introduce the Fantastic Four, why not? They're obviously leaning towards using the already established characters and just merging everything together.
Man, I didn't even hear that. That's kind of cool. I actually didn't hate the first Fantastic Four.
No, I didn't either. Those were fun movies when they came out. Yeah,
the Silver Surfer, like they were very early on in the whole let's bring Marvel and comics to screen.
They were relatively, though, faithful to the to the subject matter as opposed to like some of the others where you get like, and this is this is a little off topic. Get ready. Something that I'm gonna say is off topic.
Be surprised.
Yeah. We watched a video of Keanu Reeves just talking about different movies he's been in. And one of the ones that they brought up was Constantine. And he was like excited. He's like, yeah, I loved playing Constantine. That was so great. And like, you didn't play John Constantine. I love that movie. I love Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is great. And he's a very pure-hearted individual. And he needs to be protected at all costs.
National hero.
Yes. He's amazing.
But
as a movie, Constantine is a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's cool to see Keanu Reeves pretend, to cast spells and have cool, magic items. And it's fun to see Keanu Reeves get to play that kind of character. But also John Constantine is like one of my favorite DC characters.
See, when I watched the first Constantine, I didn't even realize it was based off of a comic book.
That's the thing. Yeah. A lot of people saw that movie. They know Constantine as Keanu Reeves, but the character of John Constantine is such a cool character. He's more like, Sting. He's a British like punk rock dude.
Okay.
And it's such a fun character. I don't know. Like the TV series they made with Matt Ryan played John Constantine, and then I think he showed up in some of the CW shows after that. But his Constantine was so good, and I just love that. I would love like a Colin Farrell Constantine, like a big screen version like that. I would always want to see Keanu come back and do anything. Yeah, but John Constantine is British, and like I don't know, it's so inextricable from so much of his character and his backstory. Like I don't know, he's a kind of a tragic character because he was sort of like a rock and roll, like drug addict kind of dude who was messing around with the occult, and they accidentally got a girl, like a young girl, dragged to hell. So the whole reason he's a petty dabbler in the mystic arts is because he's trying to undo like a giant fuck up, like, a life altering.
So the movie is just no way relative to the actual comic book.
No, it's completely different.
As IP.
Yeah. But that's a different, I mean, I think we could probably analyze it. We'd have to, break down the numbers, but it's probably like comic book movies before the MCU.
Yes.
The production companies generally thought they knew better about what to put in a movie than a comic book did. The adherence to the source material. Look at the first X-Men movie. Everybody's in black leather like the Matrix, you know? Those kind of changes, things that, I don't know, it's just we're seeing a shift because faithful comic adaptations do really well. To an extent. Faithful comic adaptations do well. So we're seeing like now when you do get a comic adaptation, like possibly the new Resident Evil movie. I haven't really played the Resident Evil games, other than like an arcade game. So I don't know.
I played them originally back on PS2, but it's been a long time since I played a Resident Evil game.
I saw the new Resident Evil, Welcome to Night City. Nope, not Night City. Welcome to Raccoon City. Welcome to Resident Evil 2077.
Welcome to play all fucking Night City.
This is a faithful adaptation of, I believe, the storylines of Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2, which those two games
Was it in Raccoon City?
Yes.
I think that's 2 and 3.
I think, 1 and 2 happen at the same time. It's two people
are
in the
you're
house,
right. One's in the house and one's in the city.
town.
You're right.
And they meet up in maybe 3. I don't know. This movie might have been a very faithful adaptation of the games. It felt very slow at times. It's very possible that the game feels very slow at times.
It does.
So, if for, big fans of Resident Evil, it might be amazing to get to see that movie. It was fine. It was
all those games are real slow. I don't want to say they invented that genre because there was Phantasmagoria before that, which was kind of a PC-based game that really kind of initialized that concept of what Resident Evil became. Mm-hmm. This real kind of like first dive into like a thrilling horror playthrough game, kind of like that.
Well, yeah, some of them they're more adventure game. They're more about like the search than they are about
exactly
the all-out zombie combat. It's sort of.
Oh,
a
for sure. The
shift.
zombie combat is like, it's the last thing you want to do in the games almost,
Yeah.
because in the initial games, you know, it's more about like the storyline and the puzzle.
Yeah.
The puzzle is what's so big.
Yeah, the mystery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's a good example of a movie that, I don't know, maybe suffered because it was too similar to the source material.
Yeah.
Another one,
How are the graphics?
it was all right. I don't know.
Okay.
Some of the monsters looked straight out of a video game, which is not a good thing for a movie.
Yeah.
But other stuff looked fine. They did some cool things. I loved all the main characters. I thought Robbie Amell did a great job, and the girl who played Claire.
I had no interest in it, but I think I'm just kind of burnt out on the franchise.
I'm burnt out on
They've
zombies
made so
for
many.
sure. I'm just burnt out on zombies.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's tough to see a new zombie movie with an interesting take. Except for that movie, I think I mentioned it to you, The Girl with All the Gifts. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, it's a very interesting take on zombies and how zombies, like, I guess, grow. I highly recommend. It's kind of like a B film. It's not an A film by any means. The Girl with All the Gifts. If you like zombie flicks, but you're tired of the traditional one, check it out, because like the first half is traditional zombie flick and it kind of migrates into something else.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it away too much.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll have to check that one out. But yeah, but I was saying, new Hellboy. The new Hellboy movie with David Harbour.
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the originals more.
The
honestly.
originals were better, but it's unfair because you're talking about Ron Perlman, directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
When he's telling a Hellboy story, how
and Ron Perlman is amazing.
Yeah. Those movies are so beloved. I think it's tough to reboot, obviously, but the new one was very, very, very faithful to a lot of things from the comics, and it just sort of made it disjointed.
Yeah.
You know, it just didn't have the same feel that you get from the like perfect crystal clear storytelling you get from Guillermo del Toro.
Oh yeah, a mastermind.
There was a lot of stuff in that movie that felt like, all right, well now they go to this place and now they go to this place, and it's not it didn't feel like one cohesive story. It felt like you're getting a highlight reel of a bunch of the coolest things that happened in the comics.
Yeah, see, there's another comic I never really was into, was Hellboy. Like I knew it was a comic, but I never personally read it.
No, I haven't read too many of them. I've read a couple, but that's not one that I was ever super into. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's interesting to really break down how comic book movies have changed, or how the process of making a comic book movie has changed. Now that we've seen so many successful, like, faithful adaptations, the thinking has clearly changed in Hollywood, where it's not like, all right, we'll take the story, we'll completely change the character and put him in black leather, and then that's the movie version.
Yeah, but we just talked about how sometimes these faithful adaptations, like Hellboy, maybe they aren't the best cut path. That maybe you need a nice balance between the two.
Sure. Well, obviously, anytime you're taking something like a picture and you're making it into a movie, there's going to be a lot of interpretation that's going to have to be done to decide what's the best way to even represent what an image was on a page versus what it looks like on a screen.
And especially for a comic book, because they're illustrations, so anything could be done. How do you translate that into the real world?
Not everything can just be Sin City, and literally exactly what it looked like.
But man, the first one wasn't that good though. When
it
came out?
Great.
It was like almost, I don't want to say, like, I don't know. It blew my mind when I first saw it. But then what was the one that came out right after that had Sam L in it?
Oh, that
was not very good. The Spirit. There we go. I didn't enjoy The Spirit very much.
Yeah. Don't watch The Spirit, everybody. Don't do it.
So go down to your local Blockbuster that definitely still exists. Dig around in the $5.99 bin that also definitely still exists, and find your copy of The Spirit today. Let's get into it. What are we talking about now? You know what we should talk about? Let's talk about Ghostbusters news, since you're a ghost head.
You know what? Let's talk about Ghostbusters.
Look how excited he is.
How about we do that? You want to talk about Ghostbusters?
You know they do.
You want to? Ghostbusters, $92 million domestic, and we're up to 28 worldwide, so we're looking at what, like 120?
Yeah, we're real good at math. We've mentioned that before.
120 million worldwide for Ghostbusters as of, we're just over 2 weeks.
What it cost to make? Like 75, I think?
75.
Look at that.
Doing well. Really
Almost
good sign.
doubled. Almost real
Almost
close.
are getting close, pulling up.
That pretty much guarantees more.
I saw a projection for this coming weekend, which would be the third weekend in the box office, in the theaters, and they're projecting like another 10 million. We'll see what happens. It's got a little competition with that Disney's Encanto, a magic house.
Yeah, that looks pretty sweet,
You've
but I
heard
don't
of
think it's the same.
Monster House, where the house is a monster. This is a magic house. So it's looking good. Looking good. Couple of things happened. Number one, Jason Reitman and his partner Gil something. I don't remember his writing partner's name. It's the kind of thing I could write down.
Especially since you have a list right in front of you.
I know.
You would think we are prepared.
Oh yeah, always. But they just got a overall production deal with Sony. So Jason Reitman is going to be making a bunch of movies at Sony from
Not
now
just
on.
Ghostbusters related.
Not just Ghostbusters, because there is
Yeah.
Ghost Corps, which is the production company that controls all the new Ghostbusters movies and shows and series and games. All that goes through Ghost Corps now.
Oh, so it's like its own company.
It's its
I
own
guess,
company,
right? I
yeah.
see.
With Aykroyd and Ramis, those guys run it. So Ghost Corps is its own thing. But this deal, I don't think it's just Ghostbusters movies they're talking about. I think the next time Jason Reitman wants to, I don't know, make a movie about like a girl
or anything,
who's in
he's
high
going to be like,
school.
"Hey, Sony, let's make this."
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll be like, "Cool."
He pretty much has carte blanche to, I think, do whatever he wants with his writing partner. So that's really cool. There's lots of talk already about the follow-up, what's going to happen next.
Smooth.
Yeah, what's going to happen next? We don't know yet. But Jason Reitman was on a podcast, and he was talking, I forget the name of the podcast, but they were asking him about the return of Vigo the Carpathian.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he said, hey, maybe there were multiple pictures of Vigo.
Oh,
I do
man.
not for a second think that Jason Reitman is planning on doing a sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife that will then pit these new kid Ghostbusters against Vigo the Carpathian.
I wish they would, though.
I would love to see Vigo show up as like a joke.
Like
I want
baby Vigo?
No, I want a painting of Vigo who in the Ghostbusters game, the 2009 game, the painting of Vigo is in the firehouse. So you can always go up to it and click on it, and they actually got Max von Sydow to do some new lines.
Uh-huh.
So he just kind of talks, and he's just kind of like grumbling because he's just stuck in the
he
painting.
can't escape the painting.
Yeah, but he can grumble and he can be annoying, you know. That I would be okay with that. I don't want to see another movie. Like the first one they fought Gozer. So now the second, number 5 they would do it again. No, we don't need that.
So you're hoping for something more original.
I'm hoping. I know he's going to do more original stuff. That's what we need. It would be fun to have some Gozer Easter eggs at some point, but I don't think we'll get a whole nother movie. That seems like a little too much as far as repeating.
That's okay, though.
Repeating
That's
history.
okay.
Yeah. But like I said, lots of good news. And then some other news, which may or may not be good.
And then some other news.
Well, another article I read now, I believe this was CBR, Comic Book Resources. There's a one website, Comic Book Movies, I've been looking at for years, and they're generally pretty trustworthy-ish. CBR, I don't know. I'm not as familiar with it. But
Don't be coming at me with this fake news.
oh yeah. Well, this headline said the ending of Ghostbusters Afterlife possibly sets up for the proposed Chris Pratt, Channing Tatum Ghostbusters movie that was in pre-production before Paul Feig's 2016 movie was officially greenlit. There were like 3 different Ghostbusters movies which were sort of in pre-production, and then Paul Feig's was the one that they went with, the 2016 reboot.
I think that was a better choice. I can't imagine wanting to see
What, Chris Pratt as
Chris
a
Pratt as a
Ghostbuster?
Ghostbusters,
No,
yeah.
we don't need that. No one wants that.
I think we've all acknowledged the fact that we're good.
Yeah, well,
We're already getting another Guardians of the Galaxy and Jurassic Park. Is that enough?
And he's Mario, and he's Garfield.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be in
And speaking of
Ghostbusters.
Jurassic Park, I must admit, like, cool, the graphics were awesome, but I was kind of underwhelmed by the trailer, the preview.
Worlds, the Jurassic World,
Yeah.
the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was so
I thought I was watching a Discovery Channel like dinosaurs thing.
Yeah, so for Jurassic World Dominion, they released a 5-minute prologue.
That's it.
So it's 5 minutes of CG dinosaurs walking around in the Cretaceous. Now it moved around. I think most of those dinosaurs were like separated by hundreds of millions of years in real life.
They don't care about that at all, though.
This is the true Jurassic Park prequel, though, because we actually get to see a mosquito bite a T-Rex.
Yeah, but they've showed that in other ones, animated style.
But is this the DNA collection that then leads to the T-Rex in that's what I mean. This is like the this is a real prequel that we just got. It's a 65 million year old prequel where all we're seeing is the blood.
Well, hopefully they won't have to put it in the movie then.
Was that in the movie? Yeah, I don't know. That should have been.
Well, I know when you watch Jurassic Park and they first go do the tour of the park, you know, they show it in the little animated with the animated DNA strain.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And they show all that storyline.
This is the real one. But there were some changes though I thought were neat. They did show so that T-Rex had feathers. It looked different.
Oh, it definitely did.
Yeah.
The neck looked a little skinnier.
They're saying that was like the real T-Rex.
Yeah.
And then the Jurassic Park. But I don't know why they're even bothering to do that. Because they say in the very first movie, they mixed it with frog DNA.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a dinosaur that looks like a dinosaur if you're mixing it with other DNA.
Oh, and in the third one, they
stuff.
talk about how they're just mixing dinosaurs like crazy to make them look better.
Or in Jurassic World, was it? They
Yeah.
said we made the dinosaurs that people wanted to see, not what they were. So what are you doing? Why are you bothering that?
Yeah. So either way, underwhelmed, personally.
And that's summer. Fine.
CG dinosaurs, I've seen it before. Chris Pratt in a helicopter chasing down a T-Rex. I've also seen that before.
We have seen that before.
So just give us something new. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, apparently in Dominion, we are going to get the original Jurassic Park cast back together.
I have heard about
Dr.
this.
Grant and Ellie Sadler and Ian Malcolm.
That'd be nice.
Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
I couldn't think of his name, but my
Fly.
voice just and then Laura Dern. Dern. So that'll be fun. I'm all for seeing those guys again.
No, for sure, because that's the Jurassic Park we loved.
Oh yeah. But anyway, back to Ghostbusters.
Yeah, huge digression there.
Well,
Believe
Chris
it or
Pratt-
not, Jurassic Park wasn't even on our list of topics to cover.
No, it wasn't.
That's a freebie
I'm glad
for
we
you.
covered it. But so
Chris Pratt is a Ghostbuster that
Chris
nobody
Pratt
wants.
and Now, what's interesting is when I was researching the Ghostbusters stuff for the other episode we did, I'm pretty sure, like I said, there were 3 different Ghostbusters movies, which were all in sort of pre-production before Harold Ramis died in 2014. And then it was shortly after that, I think 6 months after that or so, because he died in February, I believe. And I think it was about 6 months later that they announced the Paul Feig movie, like that was officially a go. But from what I picked up, it looked like the Channing Tatum, Chris Pratt movie was actually going to take place in the same universe as the reboot. So they would not have, been the next generation of Venkman and Stantz and Spengler. They would have been
their own
competition for the girls.
Yeah.
Like in the IDW comic series, there's another kind of team of Ghostbusters that are like the competition. They're, using their own technology. And I think at some point they then become folded in and join Ghostbusters Incorporated. But it seemed like they were doing sort of that sort of thing. Because he said in the 2016 movie, apparently the government already knows about ghosts.
They made that obvious.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
Yeah, so
we know
there's
there
other
are ghosts.
Ghostbusters already too. But that seems like that's what that movie was going to be. It was going to be a continuation of that universe. I don't see any reason why that would get recycled and put into this movie.
If for any reason the people in charge of making this decision are listening, please do not do that.
Yeah, Jason, I mean, come on. We love you. We love your new movie.
Sony,
you have enough Chris Pratt. He's Mario. You can't have him be a Ghostbusters too. You can't. We don't need that.
That's accurate.
But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Now, I would love to see, because the kids are 12 in the movie continuity. Granted, that they shot that movie like 3 years ago now.
Exactly. So now they're probably like 16, 18, 20.
Well, 3 more years from 12.
Yeah,
I
well,
think
you know, they
around
probably
15.
weren't actually 16 when they filmed it.
Well, I think they were young. McKenna Grace, I think, is now currently 15. And I think the kid who played Podcast, I think he's 14, he said. And he was actually, what's his name? It'll come to me in a second. Any second. Logan Kim. He was actually just on the Yes Have Some podcast. By the way, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, check out the Yes Have Some podcast. They've been doing some great stuff throughout this whole afterlife celebration period. But I think he's 14 now. So to get those kids into a place where they could, I don't know, have a job and be a Ghostbuster, you need some time. What we see in, spoilers, what we see in the post-credit scene of Ghostbusters Afterlife is Winston coming back to the firehouse, who's now a billionaire, and he brings the Ecto-1 back to the firehouse, and then it pans down, and we see the Ecto containment unit in the basement, which has apparently just been there.
Yep.
They sold the building with that in it.
Didn't pay the power anymore, but for some reason the power for that's still rocking and rolling.
It's a very Ghostbusters thing to do. They would just sell the building with, by the way, there's a thing downstairs that if the power goes out, will turn into a giant ghost bomb.
Yeah, it has 1,000 plus ghosts in it.
Yeah, that's not... Well, but if that's going to go off, I would very much like to see a Ghostbusters team reestablished, led by Winston, maybe not in the field, but led by, Winston as the head of the company. You got to get some people working on dealing with current ghosts while the kids are still kids. And you could definitely Doogie Howser Phoebe Spengler and throw her, say she's going to Columbia at 15. That would make perfect sense for her character. But Podcast, we don't even know who his parents are.
We don't know anything about him.
We don't know what his real name is.
I was about to say, what's his real name?
So we don't know anything about that character. I guess technically if Winston has enough money, he could move all of the related families. Because then there's
what if they
also
just mashed it up with Marvel style and Winston becomes like Iron Ghostbuster Man?
He is. He's going to be the Nick Fury of Ghostbusters.
He's just going to be levitating with plasma.
Well, maybe. We'll see. He gets proton
that's right.
reactors.
That's my idea. I think you should roll with it. It's ingenious.
Well, in the comic, Winston had he had sort of a shoulder mounted proton pack that had a little an emitter on like his wrist.
Get hard, boom.
Yeah,
I
so
learned
he
about
could
that.
just sort of shoot with his arm. Is pretty cool. I've always wanted to build one of those. That'd be a fun prop to build.
Okay.
But yeah, fun stuff with Ghostbusters. Lots of potential for the future. I would definitely love to see a series or a movie about setting up a team. You can get Paul Rudd, Mr. Gruberson. He's primed to be a Ghostbuster already.
Oh, for sure. At least the biggest
He's
fanboy
a scientist. Ever. Yeah, but he's a scientist, So if you mix him in, but if you had, you have Winston making all the money decisions. You have like old greasy Ray Stantz, who just he's like the shop teacher of Ghostbusters, and
he could literally be the mechanic or whatnot.
Yeah, and he just works on gear, and he gets to be the guy at the base, and then you get some additional people maybe to be running some calls.
For sure, I think
we'd be in good shape.
So if you are interested, just make sure to go to the Hasbro website and sign up. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen the realistic proton pack that Hasbro doing a Kickstarter for?
The Plasma series.
Yeah, that thing looks pretty cool, man.
Kickstarter, I think it's $400.
Yeah,
it's good.
Oh, and it blew past it on its first day, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I probably won't be grabbing one.
So if anyone would like to send Josh the new Hasbro proton pack, please do so.
Or Hasbro Pulse, if you feel like sponsoring our show here, we'll do a whole episode. We'll do a year's worth of episodes. We
will cut every episode to end with the Ghostbusters theme.
We'll wear it. Yeah. Yeah, sure. We'll be Ghostbusters. We'll quit our jobs. Is that what you want? You know what? We'll be right back.
Oh, that was good, man. We synced that together.
And we're back.
Action.
can you believe it? Here we are.
Still.
To you, probably no time has passed, but to us, it's literally been minutes. So, Jeremy, it's the holidays.
It is.
And every year around the holidays, for some reason, people want to argue about whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
I know. How are we still making this argument? Obviously, it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas. The music, the score is all based on Christmas music. The plot of the movie doesn't make sense if the people are not all at their place of work after hours, which you would only be there for during a Christmas party.
For sure. I think people try and classify that Christmas movie as like, it has to be like a certain type of happy feel good.
Or Santa Claus has to be in it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what.
It can't be an action themed Christmas movie.
If Christmas is an integral part of the movie, it's a Christmas movie.
And here we are having that conversation.
There are plenty of Christmas movies that you could probably completely remove Christmas from, and they would still just be bad movies. But other movies are good. And if they're good and it's got some Christmas elements, it's a Christmas movie.
So speaking of Christmas,
Ghostbusters 2, it's a New Year's movie, I guess, kind of. There was a scene. There's scenes where they wear the hats.
Yeah, wearing the hats.
It ends in New Year's. But speaking of Christmas and in Die Hard, this year we got Hawkeye,
which is definitely Die Hardy.
Die Hard the reboot.
Yeah.
In the MCU.
When I first saw the trailer, I was instantly like, "What MCU is tackling Die Hard style Christmas?"
And they're
very excited.
They're doing some fun stuff. This show I was not really that excited about until I started watching it, and the first 2 episodes really did hook me in.
I think it was the second episode. The first episode, I think it still didn't have me. Good thing there were 2 episodes dropped at once.
You were playing. You're notoriously hard to get. We know that. But the music, the tone, the comedy in the show is really, really solid, and it's fun. It feels like it is going to become sort of an annual, Christmas tradition thing. Like, we'll watch Hawkeye.
I like it. I also like kind of the way they introduce this new like aspect of Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye with the hearing aid and really affecting like his hearing.
Oh yeah,
talking so much about that. It's a good kind of angle. It's a humanizing angle to Hawkeye that we really never got to see before.
Well, and interesting you say humanizing for Hawkeye, because he's the most human Avenger. Yep. He's the Avenger that we really, I guess we identify with the most. But, it's fun that, they're showing a totally different side of him. And especially, episode 3, the 3rd episode, the scene where he was talking to his son on the phone and he couldn't hear. So,
oh man, that was great scene too.
Interpreting for him. That was heartbreaking.
It was.
And it's interesting to see Hawkeye, who obviously at this point in the story, Clint Barton has a lot of regret and a lot of PTSD from a lot of different things. It's one of the funniest things when she asks, like, well, how did you lose your hearing? And it just shows a montage of explosions and crashing through windows and all the different ways. Like pick one. It doesn't matter which one it was, It's living like that. Being a regular person and doing that avenging job just takes a toll on your body.
Yeah, he mentions it many times that like being a superhero isn't what you think it is.
No, and it requires sacrifices that you can't understand until you've basically committed to making them.
Which is another topic matter that I think this whole series seems to be taking on well, that really hasn't been introduced very much in the MCU previous. There's been superheroes and we've seen the superhero stories, but there hasn't been much of like the struggle to being a superhero, especially with someone like Clint that, as we mentioned, is human.
Yeah, and there's different aspects to it. We've seen Captain America, we've seen Steve Rogers, and also Falcon. Sam Wilson, both dealing with veterans and themes of PTSD, yep. And we've seen clear-cut PTSD with Thor in Endgame.
Yeah, that's true. When he lost his brother, for sure.
Well, and when he killed Thanos, when they lost, and he left, and he played video games for 5 years, and gained a ton of weight. Like that, honestly, that hit me harder than some of the any of the other things in that movie. That was like absolutely the most emotional part for me. And obviously I have some history as a army veteran, but like that yeah, I really identified a lot with that version of Thor, just how the way he felt, and I've been there, so it's cool to see, yeah, what happens when a person has to deal with those things,
For
and
sure.
he's trying to balance his history as Ronin and the murders he committed with his current family that he did all of that to, get back.
Yeah, because
Well, no, he didn't. He
they were
did it all
wiped,
because he
though.
lost them.
Yeah, he did it
He
because they
killed them
lost
'cause-
them. They
yeah.
were wiped.
Yeah, they were snapped away. He did get them back, and he's like, oh, whoops, never mind about all that killing people.
I'm glad you guys are back. I'm gonna
But
dive more into family life now.
It is cool to see how he talks to his wife, though, like how involved she knows all about all of these characters. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool to have her on the phone because that's
Well, she's known about the characters the whole time.
sure.
Realistically.
It just shows how close they are, though, and how important his family is to him. And
Yeah.
when he loses them, that's what happens. It's worse than when Frank Castle loses his family, almost. Because you're already starting as Hawkeye.
Yeah, because
like,
Frank Castle is just going after the people that killed his family.
Yeah.
Once that's done, it's done, theoretically.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so Hawkeye has been great so far. Episode 3 just came out this past week. Absolutely the best episode by far.
Without a doubt.
We get to really see Hawkeye be Hawkeye, there's some fun archery stuff. There's some amazing, a whole car chase segment with some amazing trick arrows.
Oh, man.
Really good, just fun Hawkeye stuff.
I think Haley Seinfeld is doing really good as picking up the kind of comic relief role there.
Yeah, or being the straight, the fact that, like, they're thinking the same things, but because he can't hear, the breakdown in communication and dealing with that is really fun.
Oh, in case you guys didn't notice, if you haven't seen Hawkeye, spoilers.
Yeah, well, for everything, always. We're just going to talk about stuff. But yeah, it's been really fun so far, and we get to see some great stuff. Like, but yeah, it goes back and forth from being almost like gut-wrenchingly emotional to just silly, like the Pym arrow, gigantic Pym arrow.
I loved it.
That was so. I was not expecting that at all.
I almost paused it when he pulled out the arrow and you saw just the tip and it said
Pym
Pym.
logo.
I was like, oh! And my wife Brittany, she was like, "What are you excited about?" Oh, look at that!
She shoot an arrow with an arrow, and make that arrow gigantic. And yeah, that was amazing. Pinning that truck down, that was great.
What I think the series is doing really well is, I think I brought this up when our very first episode. I was talking about how, like, I had just kind of lost interest in a lot of the Marvel movies because they were missing that humanistic side, and they're really bringing that back in this series in particular. It was just like you said before, like with the Winter Soldier and the Falcon show.
Mhm.
They did a really good job at bringing in the series seems to do a much better job than the movies of interlacing these deep topic matters for these characters.
Sure. Well, it's obviously when you're doing a big budget movie, you can go big scope or
Yeah.
larger in scale. It's cheaper to go smaller scale in a series, and you can go more in depth, with characters and get a lot more of that humanity out of them. I think you're right. What they have been doing really well is, while the Avengers is cosmic and the Eternals is cosmic and Spider-Man is going to be, multi-dimensional, like all of these are these massive, kind of stories, to go back to something small about a guy with a bow and arrow
In a neighborhood.
beating up thugs.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, it is nice to have that kind of street level justice alongside your galactic scale avenging. And speaking of, we got one of the biggest cameos. I'm just gonna call it a cameo because they didn't show his face, but they showed his hands and you heard his voice. It sure seems like Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk is going to be the villain of this series, and is also, as he is in the comics, the adopted father / uncle of Echo. And we know Echo has a series coming up too, so she's going to turn and go good, because they're not going to make a series about a bad guy.
Though they should.
Well,
It would
sure.
be interesting.
Representation matters
Mhm.
for villains. Uh,
I just think it would be fun.
oh yeah, well it will be fun. It's gonna be cool, but it really seems like we're heading back into the Kingpin's territory here in this series, and I'm rewatching Daredevil. I know you just started rewatching Daredevil.
Restarted it.
And if you go on Netflix and you look at what's trending, Daredevil is right there at the top,
really
next to the Punisher. These MCU shows, which were obviously done by a different department in Marvel Studios,
Yeah.
it really seems like they're going to be canonized fully. And I hope that they are, because I do not believe that the Marvel Cinematic Universe would have approached Kingpin and made him as emotionally fragile as he is in that series. Like, it is good and it's scary because of how fragile he is. He seems like he could crack at any second.
Yeah.
Which is a little different than the classic, very evenly keeled Kingpin from the comics or like the cartoon shows and stuff. So I really, really love what D'Onofrio has done as the Kingpin, and getting to see him again. And if we get to see what if we get Daredevil in the show, or Daredevil and Spider-Man? Like, these are really exciting things. See young Spider-Man, like street level Spider-Man without a Stark suit, without, like, to just have Spider-Man and Daredevil working together. That happens so often in the comics, and like it would just be so much fun to see. And to see Spider-Man fighting Kingpin would be really cool. What if we get a Kingpin cameo in No Way Home? I mean, if all these are getting merged together, if we're getting Matt Murdock, if he's going to end up showing up in No Way Home, and it's basically, it's rumored. It's obviously everything's rumored.
Was he there on the cast list when you were looking? I know you looked at that the other day.
Yeah, if you Google the movie and look at the cast, there's some people like Tom Hardy who show up in the cast list. Now, I don't know where Google gets its information, and that's not necessarily from Sony.
I mean, I think just from the end of Venom, Carnage, it's pretty obvious Venom and Tom Hardy are going to be in the movie.
There's going to be so much going on in this movie. Like,
it's a lot.
Spider-Man really seems like it's going to have a lot going on.
But back to Hawkeye.
Well, that's why, yeah. I don't think we'll probably see Spider-Man or Daredevil show up in the Hawkeye series.
No.
Every single one of these series about a main character,
that will probably end with the introduction of a new character.
Maybe, yeah, but Disney's not going to do them dirty. Like in WandaVision, everybody thought, oh, Doctor Strange is going to show up at the end. And I guess it was, they were planning on doing that for a while, but COVID messed up during filming and they couldn't do it. So they scrapped it. But I'm kind of glad they didn't, because what they're doing is they're allowing the hero of the show to resolve the show.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting kind of bailed out by another hero. This is not what you want to do. You want the Hawkeye story to be about Hawkeye, the most Clint Barton story. And the fact that they're taking it from the Matt Fraction, like David Aja series, it's really well done, and it seems like a real faithful adaptation. It's fun. It's just a fun show. Even though they had a car chase in the third episode, it felt like a scene straight out of Jingle All the Way.
That's my
they're in the yeah, me too. Yeah.
If you don't have a Turbo Man doll, you need to get a Turbo Man doll.
No, that is absolutely one of my favorite Christmas movies. And Sinbad yelling, "Out of the way, box!" and pushing the guy in the box costume.
Oh man,
that's been my favorite part. Ta-ta, Turtle Man. Yeah, he's great.
I think the end of the series is probably going to end up with, all of these Marvel superheroes are getting old in real life.
Oh,
so they have to be retired.
Sure.
So, it seems like it's an obvious setup for Haley Seinfeld to take over whatever the new Hawkeye role will be.
Yeah, well, Kate Bishop, she is in the Young Avengers. She's a member. Yeah. She's the Hawkeye in the Young Avengers.
So is the Young Avengers going to be the next show?
It sure seems like it, because they've shown basically all of them. Like Wanda's two kids are in it. The young Loki, Kid Loki is in it.
Kid Loki holding the gator?
Yeah.
Oh man,
he's in it.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, there's been America Chavez. She's in there, but she's not gonna show up. She's gonna be in Multiverse of Madness. So she's one showing up in that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And also, what's her name? Isn't Miss Marvel the new Miss Marvel?
Well, I saw that the new Marvel movie is going to have Rogue as the villain, I think. That's what I've read online, because that's how Rogue gets her powers. She steals them from Miss
Oh,
Marvel.
well, yeah.
So she's supposed to be the actual villain in the next Marvel movie.
Which, and
Miss
the
Marvel.
Marvels, yeah, she's going to be in the Marvel series. Which means we're going to get mutants. We have to get mutants really soon.
Yeah.
You know? And speaking of mutants, I think sorry, not Daredevil. Hawkeye's really good. Daredevil's also really good. Kingpin is going to be good in both series. I'm excited for all of this to sort of merge together.
Oh, for sure.
And to see the next chapter in Daredevil's story, to see what's going on with Echo, maybe, get back some Frank Castle. But speaking of Frank Castle specifically, it's really seeming like we need to get mutants really soon. It's going to be in Spider-Man, or in Multiverse of Madness. I think they're going to be introducing mutants like soon.
They've been playing the card like it's coming soon, and then they've been making, like, I don't know. I saw New Mutants. I liked it. It got a lot of hate online. I thought it was interesting. There was some characters I never really thought about in a long time in it, so I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think Hawkeye is really succeeding where kind of I personally think Black Widow failed, and it's that it's really humanizing Clint in a way that they didn't manage to pull off, but tried really well with Natasha's character.
Yeah,
they tried hard, but they just it was too much. It was over the top, and the family line there wasn't as heartfelt as I think they wanted it to be.
Well, it's a different type. He has a whole totally different family dynamic. But Natasha's a very tough character because she is so closed off. That's her character. Like, that's the whole point of, you don't ever really know if you're talking to the real Natasha.
I hope the girl that played her sister comes, and that's the new line.
Well, she
was awesome.
Yelena Belova. Yeah. She's supposed to show up in this Hawkeye series at some point.
Oh,
because at the end of the show, remember Elaine from Seinfeld? She showed her the picture of Hawkeye. So she's going after Hawkeye. I don't know why it wouldn't be now,
man,
or in this series. But yeah, so I think with all this going on, it feels like either in Spider-Man, I think something is going to happen in Spider-Man that is going to they'll probably lose Doctor Strange. He's going to get pulled into something or something. And
they're making a Doctor Strange movie right now, right? Isn't it filming?
It comes out in May.
Okay.
That's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, directed by Sam Raimi.
Good old Sam Raimi.
Very excited. It's supposed to be very horror heavy, and there were a bunch of reshoots recently, and there were rumors like, they spent another $80 million on reshoots or whatever, something like that. But from what I read, it seemed like they're really happy with the movie, and all these reshoots were to bring in cameos for people who were not available to shoot during principal photography. So makeup cameos, who knows who we're going to get in this? If the multiverse, they're obviously merging all the movie universes they can. All the Spider-Mans, we're going to see the X-Men, we're going to see the Fantastic Four. I really think all of them are going to end up in some form or another as part of the new Marvel multiverse.
That's not a bad thing, though.
No, it's not. It's not. But if that means that, we are going to be seeing mutants soon. This is something we talked about a little bit before, but like, I've done several searches online and I've been racking my brain for who could be the new Wolverine in the
Obviously,
MCU.
it's Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci is Wolverine.
He's already got the hair for it.
I don't think he does. But if you look up some of these listicles,
none of them are good.
None of the options are good. There's people still saying Tom Hardy. He's Venom.
No.
Jason Momoa. He's Aquaman. Could Jason Momoa be a kind of cool Wolverine? Yeah, but I don't think that they're going to go that direction. I think we're going to get a short guy. I think we're going to get somebody short and hairy and make more like a classic Wolverine as opposed to, the 6'4".
Well, there's also the more
guy.
like anime styled Asian Wolverine was very popular for a little while in the comics. So we could see something like that.
Maybe. I'm fully expecting somebody
Simu
who's like...
Liu? What's his name? Simu Liu?
Simu Liu.
Liu?
Yeah. I'm
Simu
not
Liu?
sure, yeah. He's great.
As Logan?
I think
that
he's
baby
busy.
face?
Yeah, I think he's busy. But yeah, there's so many people suggesting just terrible choices, and most of them are just people who kind of look like Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And Hugh Jackman was great as Wolverine, but he never really fit the character.
Yeah. He
as
was just
described.
willing to wear the crazy hair.
He just looked, he's
Yeah.
a good actor and he was good in that role, but his Wolverine is very distinct from even like the cartoon show.
Oh,
like,
yeah. He
know,
doesn't look anything like the cartoon
Wolverine's
Wolverine.
ugly. He's short and ugly. He's not a handsome, sexy
Real
wolf.
Squared off jaw
Yeah.
in all the
and the big
comics.
Oh, have you seen the video of Hugh Jackman? He thought that Wolverine was like based on a wolf when he first did the movie. Look it up at home. Yeah, he talks. He's told the story several times, but yeah, he got on set. And he's like, yeah, I try to like look down like under my eyebrows like a wolf does. And the director's like, why do you want to be like a wolf? There's no wolves. He's
a
like,
Wolverine
yeah,
is its own creature,
and
though.
he's like, no, that's not. He's from Australia. He didn't know it was a real animal, so he's out studying wolves for months before the movie.
I gotta be the alpha wolf.
Yeah, but yeah, there's no good options for anybody to be Wolverine.
I wonder if they're gonna bring back Nightcrawler, man. That's who I hope gets
he probably
bring back.
I'm sure he will. I'm hoping that they're gonna go for like the 90s kind of X-Men team.
Exactly.
Give us
straight from the video game.
Or the cartoon show, give us Rogue and Gambit the same age.
I hated the Gambit. The only Gambit they've ever shown it.
They put Gambit as like 30 in 1979, and then they made Rogue like 16 in the year 2000.
Yeah.
So like why? So he's 50 when she's. Yeah, they really. But see, that's what I was talking about
not only
earlier.
to mention, like the character they chose. I don't remember the guy's name that played Gambit.
Oh yeah,
he was like baby face. He looks nothing like Gambit. Obviously there's bias there since I'm from New Orleans.
You're from New Orleans.
Exactly. So
yeah.
Gambit was always my favorite. And also growing up, I loved spinning a quarterstaff around. Quarterstaff's always been my favorite martial arts weapon.
And that's why he calls everyone Cherie.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's great. It's I mean, I'm excited to see a new Gambit, yeah. But I want to see that team.
Yes.
I give us a Jubilee who's the teenager. Let Rogue be an adult.
I did like the Jubilee that they threw in the last, what it was, Days of Future Past or whatever. Yeah. The kid Jubilee in the car.
Yeah.
She looked very good. She looked like Jubilee. I wish they would continue.
You mean the scene in the mall when they go to the mall?
She's also in the back of the car when they're blowing up the mansion, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see a little bit of that starting to show up. But yeah, there's a lot to wonder about. You know, like you said, I was feeling that too, and I think it's just from Avengers Endgame. Like, there's such a finality to that movie.
Yep.
That it kind of felt like, well, it's over now. You know, which is also I thought why it was a little sad that some of these movies like featuring like minority heroes or female characters. They're all kind of got like stacked in a row after the main story. Like Black Widow's movie should have happened like in 2014 or something.
Sure.
You know, her movie should have happened a long time ago, not be tacked on after the end of, the whole
it's like
Infinity
an end
Saga.
And it doesn't really fit in with it. Like you have to realize you're going back in time.
You got to go back to
They never
Civil
even say
War,
that
right?
really. But
yeah, it's right after Civil War.
Yeah.
Is it?
So that was the weird thing about that movie too.
I need to rewatch it. I liked it when I saw it in the theater.
It was a good movie, but it wasn't great.
Well, yeah, and like I said, I think it's tough with her character who is constantly so unreadable.
Well, I think they're already doing a better job with Hawkeye. What it all boils down to.
Yeah.
Hawkeye, in my opinion, is already more successful than the Black Widow managed to be, and that's because I think they just kind of made Black Widow.
They're all just different stories.
Yeah,
but that's what I love so much about it. Like even like Eternals, it was fine. I liked it. I had a good time watching it, but it's not going to be my new favorite. But there's enough of them that not everything can be. You know?
For sure.
It'll be somebody's favorite, and that's what it's there for.
Yeah, exactly.
And not every movie's for you. And you just got to kind of accept that.
For me, it's got to have the good story. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, well, but also what you consider as a good story is going to be different between person to person.
Okay, it's got to be good storytelling. How about that?
Definitely.
There's a difference between good story and good storytelling.
Sure. But the MCU, they're pretty good. Like we said, Shang-Chi.
Oh,
Shang-Chi was
man.
incredible.
It really
was so
is.
well done. And
my only complaint with really the entire movie is his end outfit and the way it's so marvelized.
yeah,
You know
it
what
looked
I
like
mean?
one of the Eternals outfit.
I
Kind
just
of
feel like
things.
all their costumes are kind of starting to look the same. Like maybe they need to hire a new costume director for a little while or something.
I don't know
just to
how they're
change it
doing
up.
that.
Like, just imagine, like, if they did the reboot of the X-Men that we want, but they all wore Marvel-style costumes instead of Gambit showing up in his brown trench coat
the thing
and
is-
Rogue wearing her green and yellow.
Gambit is wearing a Marvel style costume just under the trench coat. It's like what, pink and blue? He's got that
Yep,
pink and blue
uh-huh.
suit under the trench coat. Same thing with Rogue. She's wearing like, yeah, give her the green and gold and then put the flight jacket over top. They are wearing those. I mean, it's better than, airbrushed on like muscles and bat nipples. We got to say that. So we have come a long way. But I think we're probably going to run out of time. I
So
think
on
we're
that
gonna-
note, if you want to order a pair of airbrushed bat nipples,
Oh. Don't forget to use the code Unsolicited Conjecture at checkout for 15% off your airbrushed bat nipples.
music!
Do you have questions? Do you have comments? Do you have suggestions? Do you have other things that you can say and communicate to us with words? Go to your email then, because you can send one of those to us. So email us at unsolicitedconjecture@gmail.com. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what you want to hear. And we will do all of it. All of it. So be careful what you ask for, because you might not like what you get.